three, four. There's far too many of you died. You know we got to find a way to bring some loving. Father, we don't need you yesterday.
What's going on? Yo, bitches! Shouldn't say that, that's not very nice, is it? Bit of Marvin there. Had the answers, well, he had the questions really with that, didn't he? But he knew the score, the strange fella that he was. Cool bloke, Marvin, wasn't he? Cool, but weird. Troubled man. And had his dad shoot his face off. No, just odd. All odd. Hello, happy 2016. Pretty stupid thing to say this early on, isn't it? Happy New Year. You can really judge the happiness of the year by the end of the year, but you know what I mean. I hope you have a fruitful New Year. And get you whatever you deserve and all that stuff. How you doing? How's it going? What's going on? Pardon me. I should have burped really before starting this. The weekly Wibble is back. I've had a bit of a break because of Crimbo, New Year and all that stuff, and the usual winter type of malarkey. And there's always like a sort of lull media-wise. I think it's because most of the reporters go on break. There's still loads of shit being going on. But they all have the winter break, all the proper reporters, so they just stick the YT jobs in there, didn't they? You turn Channel 4 news on and you don't know where they are talking and that. Anyhow, so yes, Christmas was Christmas. It's really for kids, isn't it? Kids with money more so than anything else. And, you know, nice. And New Year's was, you know, usual, nice. Just the same as everything, really, isn't it? It's all about that bloody money, man. The man trying to keep you down. I'm just being cynical for no reason whatsoever. It was very nice. I'd rather it was snowing. Yes, I am susceptible to that sort of like, it snowed every Christmas when I was a kid. It just didn't, you know. Everyone thinks that. There's this weird sort of memory thing everyone gets, where they like insist all their summers were long and all their winters were white and fluffy the older you get. It's not the case. We've rarely had a Christmas with snow, a white Christmas, and God knows we've rarely had proper summers. We're in a temperate zone, which means we have very changeable weather. So how you doing? Yeah, man. I've had a canny Crimbo. I've got some nice Star Wars presents. Right. I've not fucking seen Star Wars, right? I cannot get out properly. You know, I think if I went to the cinema at the moment, I'd probably fall a kip in the seat. Not even though it's Star Wars. It's because, you know. But everyone's like trying to fucking. The day of it being out, there was like websites up about yeah, who is Han Solo dead? And it's like, well, cheers for that, you fucknut. You just watch the film, enjoy it. You don't have to feel superior because you're in on something, you know. But I've always suffered from this thing of like, I love Star Wars as a film, and I've seen all of them obviously. And when Episode 1 came out, I was there for the first night at the Metro Centre, their first showing type thing, as it were. I went with a girl, and we were almost thrown out. It was a odd date, but But like since I've not really bothered going to the as early as possible, and I've got this weird thing. I've always been like this. Unless I get free tickets, I've always thought like, oh man, as soon as anything's overhyped, I try to stand back and not like aye. I'll see it in your own sweet time. I don't like being cajoled. You know what I mean? I'm not a trend follower. I'm not necessarily a trendsetter either, to be honest. But I'm not someone who like keeping up with the Joneses type, and I just see that a lot when films come out. I can't wait to see it, if you know what I mean. But I'm not gonna break fucking, you know, not gonna break eggs or whatever. I'm thinking of a phrase and it's wrong. To go and see it, you know what I mean? It's going to be there for a long time, and like, well, basically forever now, isn't it? Now it's out. I can see it whenever, but it's not going to run away. You're not going to die without. Anyhow, but yes, so I got my mum got us Santi got us some class figures, and I've hid them on my bookshelf with all me old. I've got some old figures and a copy Banksy that me mate did. A Banksy picture in the background. The one with the girl and the balloon, but just the balloon's gone. Anyhow, she's pointing at where the balloon was, but it's not there. Banksy's cool. I've also still got me decorations up, although they're not on. You know what I'm saying? Like, me tree is up, I can't be arsed. I'll take it down eventually. I think last year, the one on my mantelpiece with the little lights on, I think it came down around about Easter. I just thought, well, looks nice. You know what I mean? Anyhow, news. Well, you know, New Year's kicked off with some joyous, beautiful news, didn't it? No, it didn't. No, it didn't. That Marvin in the background, by the way, is from the Save the Children Motown special. I think it was 1970, 71. You can't get the DVD in Britain, but it's had everyone on. Although by that time the Temps, who I also love, was their like really rehashed membership. They got rid of Eddie Kendricks and that and all that stuff. And they had that little lad with a squeaky voice who wasn't... He was squeaky, but not squeaky and nice. He was just... like that. Eddie Kendrick was more... He had a nice... but wasn't shrill. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm digressing. Yes, New Year. Well... good old... Saudis, don't they rule the world? Pretty much, I think. They get away with all manner of shit. Granted, it's a different culture, and it's very difficult to impose culture on somewhere else. But by now, you know, it is a monarchy. It is a monarchy with its government. But by now, lobbing people's heads off who don't agree with you. It's a bit fucking old hat, is it not? And they killed 47, was it? Dissidents. One of them being a cleric. The funny thing is, when you hear the word Muslim cleric, because of the political zeitgeist, you think, oh, must have been a terrorist. No. They actually were part of the Arab Spring. These were the extremely moderate, anti-strict Muslims who wanted a democratic uprising in Saudi Arabia. You know where you all go for your holidays every now and again. Oh, I know you can't drink, but everything's there. It's just a fucking big shopping mall, and it's sunny. Is that all you need in your life to make you feel better? Well, I'm going to live there. You know what I mean? But believe this: if you did, you've got any fucking rights. Although saying that, I read a brilliant, it wasn't even an article. It was a piece by someone who spent a great deal of time in there. And you can get alcohol in Saudi. This whole thing about again, it's money. If you've got the money, you can get what you want, no matter where you are. There's a lot of bullshit flying around about the Bible. You're not allowed to take a Bible into Saudi Arabia. That's bollocks. You are. You're allowed to take a Bible into Saudi Arabia. You are allowed to read it. As long as you read it on your normski, you don't do it in public, you don't try and convert people. Now, I wouldn't mind a flat-out atheist version of that. But it is a bit odd being in our religious country, trying to ban another religion. It's a bit oppressive, is it not? So, even Britain in its peak of Christianity wasn't that bad, although they did have the wars, the Reformation and getting rid of the Catholics and stuff. But you know what I'm saying? That was fucking hundreds of years ago. There's a bit of a to-do with the Church of England at the moment as well, oddly enough. They're pretty much, what's he called? The guy who was at Durham, he's now the head of the Church of England. My God, I forgot his name. Welby, Justin Welby, that's the fella. He, if you just look into him a bit, he's pretty much as far from Christian as you can think. You know, he's very pally with the banks. Very pally with the banks. And they've just came out, they've said they've got, I think it was £68 billion. This is the Church of England. They've got something like £68 billion in endowments, which is basically profit. Because, you can't call it profit because it's technically not a business. But they've got 80-odd billion pounds. Now, the very last thing what Jesus-y type chap was about, and I'm not a Christian in the uniformed religion sense, I believe he was a hippie who was saying nice things at the time, in a time when, the Romans running everything and chopping fucking people's heads off and hanging people. And he was like, fuck this shit, they're all corrupt. All empires are corrupt. I think that was Jesus' point. All empires are corrupt. Every one of them is nasty and murderous. However, the Romans stole the power that Christianity had over people, early Christianity, and enforced it on the world and turned it into a dogma. So that's why I do not subscribe to any religion, because I've mentioned this before. No one knows. All religion is sort of preying on the fact that everyone's concerned about what's going to happen when they die, and you didn't know. And I've died, and I didn't know. So you didn't know? Simple as. So, just be nice to people, chill out. Anyhow, so the Saudis have killed these people, and fucking, they are, it's weird. It's a weird world we live in. The people who've killed them are more moderate than what you'd call the Wahhabists, which is the prevailing stronger or more orthodox and easy to radicalise section of Islam. which is responsible for the likes of ISIS and Al Qaeda and stuff. And these dissidents were the opposite, and they were deemed terrorists literally by Saudi Arabia, and they've been killed. And Iran, who we've always in the past thought, they're dodgy people, they're going to bomb us, they're going to nuke us and all that stuff. They're incensed because they follow that thing. So, if anything, Iran's a lot more liberal than the Saudis. And I think what it is, Iran hasn't sold out. It's not a wealthy country, unlike Saudi Arabia. They've pursued wealth through a monarchy which has been all oppressive. And Iran hasn't been as oppressive, but they just don't toe the line. And there's very strange alliances with the West, us, US, and the likes, and France, regarding Saudis and Israel, because it's weird. They're doing different things, different religions, and both doing nasty things. I don't understand why we're in league with both. It's very odd. They're also rich as fuck, a lot of them. And you'll find places like the Yemen, which aren't anywhere near as wealthy as a country. The poorer countries are the ones that are getting bombed right now by these nasty people who are trying to spread democracy, which is what we've been saying for 30 odd years as a lie to get us into war. We're going to install a democracy. You can't install a fucking democracy. Anyway, that's just the start of the fucking year. That's just yesterday. Craziness, shit. Crazy shit. Now, Oregon. In Oregon, in the States, there was a lovely ranch. Well, it's still there. There's a ranch in Oregon, owned by a family beginning with H. Let's just say the Hendersons, because I've forgotten. No, it's all in my head when I get here. And when I get here, and on the fucking podcast it goes. They have had little run-ins. Basically, their land backs onto a government, like a federal nature reserve. So it's federal land. It's government land. You can't fuck about on it. It's like the National Trust. You cannot fuck around with the National Trust land because it's like, it's the country's land. It's not your land, if you know what I mean. Government's land. Anyhow, so they apparently, this is what's happened is, this family says they had a lightning strike which set a field on fire, part of the land on fire, and to counter that fire, they set more fires, fighting fire with fire. And oh dearie me, it spread onto government land and went tits up, and the whole thing was in flames. And the government went, fucking hell, man, you've burnt our things, you've killed our animals, like. So, they've kicked off, and the guys, they've been in court for a number of years, this family, and the two guys responsible, the heads of the family, have lost the court case, and they are about to go into jail. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, bloody governments, taking everything over, blah, blah, blah. However, the government's story is that they've been poaching on government land for a long time, dipping into that land for a long time, doing naughty little things on the land for a long time, and they reckon this family set the fire on purpose, like, not on a porpoise, because that would be in the sea. On purpose, as in like someone from up here talking proper. They set the stuff on fire because there were carcasses there from their hunting. They've been hunting on government land. killing animals for kicks, and because, you know, if it was for food, they'd have dragged it home and ate it. They just haven't been hunting on government land and shooting stuff in the nature reserve, and that is the point of a nature reserve. However, because they set a fire and it went nuts around the nature reserve, spread like, you know, wildfire, it's classed as a terrorist act. Because arson is classed as a terrorist act. Sorry, an act of terrorism. There's a difference, I think, slightly. I've been reading up on it. What it means is, it's the literal meaning of terror, which is fair enough. You know, you could have been camping there. People might have died by a deliberately set on fire. And, you know, wildfires, you've seen them on the telly. They're quite terrifying. They're not. So they do hide a bit of terror in your body, in your head, if there's one hurtling towards you. So I get that. I get why it makes sense to have that as a law. But this is where semantics comes in. Because although it's an act of terror, they're not classed as terrorists, which is, again, fair enough. But what you get is people in the States at the moment, the patriots, who think they've been invaded left, right and centre, and the whole culture has been taken from them. It's not a case of that, it's evolution. We evolve. I mentioned this before. Things change. Cultures change. You just have to get with the plan. People change. But there are people in this country, and probably every country's got them as well, to be honest, and they have, especially like around Europe, who really think they should hold on to the past because the past was good. And by what they mean by good generally means good if you're white and you had an element of privilege. And you see any attack on your, you know, your, what's the word, comfort, as an attack on as an attack on the country. People who say, I'm defending the country, it's like, no, you're defending what you think the country should be. So these patriots, there's a guy called Bundy. He's had a little bit of a run-in. I think I mentioned him on one podcast, or one of his actions at least, maybe not in name. He's had a couple of run-ins, and now he's getting sort of handy at hijacking situations where the patriotism can be put in a full swing. And there's two things going on. The gun nuts. They're really into the Second Amendment. And I've mentioned the Second Amendment before, which is the right to bear arms malarkey. But it's only with a militia, which is formed to counter a tyrannical government. So everything the government does now, with anybody who gets bollocked by the government, especially in rural areas, at the moment, these people are jumping on board and saying, the government's tyrannical. And so they can justify having these groups of people, these militia. Even the word militia is like kind of disturbing. I remember Bowling for Columbine, the documentary by Michael Moore a few years ago. And he spent some time with the Michigan militia. And it was just hilarious. None of them had any service background, but they were all tooled up like soldiers. And that's basically what it is. They're not, I think there was a couple in the National Guard, which is like their tier, which is fair enough. At least they've got some experience and blah blah blah. But the rest are just like fuckwits with like proper dead end jobs in their life. Hated the fact that they had a crap life, and just felt better having a gun and pretending they were in the army. But the thing is, it's legal. Imagine that in Britain. Can you imagine, you know, these right-wing nutters we've got armed? You know, EDL types and whatever, and the fucking, what they're called, the bloody the infidels. You get them little groups. You imagine that bunch tooled up. You know what I mean? It's just disturbing. And what's happening? Like I say, there's two things. It's the NRA they're pushing that sort of gun right thing, and the patriotism, and they tend to fall into the category of people who don't like gays, don't like black people, don't like LGBT, don't like immigrants. Think the world's what's happening is the world's changing, and it is changing at a quick pace. Everybody knows that, but that's because as technology advances, it draws people not necessarily closer physically. It does socially through media and stuff. As technology advances, humans advance. That's how we advance. You know, from making a flint bit of stone, hoying a lever on, hoying a little stick on to make it more, give it more leverage, and you can hit things harder and chop things better. Refining that into a proper axe and blah blah blah. And as technology and humans evolve, they do it together, and that's what's happened. And these guys, you know, they don't understand that barriers such as homosexuality and race and stuff, they're becoming insignificant. You know, it sounds like I'm being good, Mr. Pious and all that here, but I've never, if I've met people who aren't, I don't even like to use the phrase now, of the same race as me, you know, they're not white, pale lads from CM, whatever. When I've met like different minority people, the first thing I've noticed isn't the colour. If you just think, when you meet someone that isn't like you, so if you're brown, if they're white, or black, or whatever, if you meet someone, or if you're white like me and they're brown or whatever, if you meet them, is the colour the first thing you notice? Because with me, it's, actually, with me it's the height, because I'm a short ass, but you know what I mean. But with me, it's not that, it's age, and that colour's there, but it's pretty much the last thing you notice. And then it's like, you know, it's about knowing people. But what it is, it's why in Britain you'll find a lot of the gobshites regarding immigration are from more rural areas. Because they see the cities with these multicultures and that, and they don't like city folk for a kick-off. And then they see it spread, and they see they see like an invasion, and it's not. It's just a fucking evolution. There's more people on the planet that've got to go somewhere. You know, we're fucking. And as far as I'm concerned, there shouldn't be any borders. It's just stupid now. Don't need borders. I'm all for the New World Order, me, like, you know what I mean. Keep on about before, being on about before. It's just bollocks. We didn't need fucking. It's ridiculous. You take, there's no borders. If you take off in a plane and have a look down, they're only on maps. And even maps change. Did you know that? I wasn't even aware of this until a few weeks ago. That did you know when you look at a map, they change the layouts of maps quite often, dependent on the importance of the country. And I don't mean the colours. The colours always signify either a population, a wealth bracket, or whatever. When you see them pink, red, and black, that's not what I'm on about. I'm on about the actual size. The officially doctor size. Apparently, Africa's shrunk. Obviously not in size, but on maps. And if you notice now, when you were a kid, if you remember, Africa, it was huge, wasn't it? And it looked smaller all the time on the maps. And South America had that long curly bit down the bottom, but apparently it's part of the because people think maps are literally a visual representation of everything with accuracy. There's a lot of going on with maps. That's why they're different colours. When you see a globe, and that's why they're all different colours. You get some that represent population. They're various colours for various amounts of population. Some that represent economic status. Some that represent, whatever. But even the size apparently has been adjusted. Isn't that weird? Was never aware of that. Anyhow, so last year, lots of cool people died. You all know them. We've all lamented them. Lots of fucking cool people died. Most recent being Lemmy. Don't like Motorhead's music at all. But I loved Lemmy. He was fucking mint. And I understand why people liked him. I liked Ace of Spades. Because it was on the Young Ones. And it's a good song. But to me, I think they wrote one song. Just being a bit harsh, but that's just my musical taste. But even he said, I think he said something along the lines of, all of Chuck Berry's same songs were the same. Why change it if it's good? Which is a fair enough fucking, It's like U2. U2 songs are pretty much the same. They've changed a bit as they've gone on. They've gone a bit more rocky and that. And they went a bit dancey for an album. But on the whole, you know a U2 song when you hear it because it's the same as all the other fucking U2 songs. Anyhow. Yes, so Lemmy. Bit of a rocker. There was a quote a couple of years ago. I think he might have had a heart attack, and they said, "You've got to stop drinking. You've got to cut down the drink. You've got to cut down the smoke." So you cut down smoking 20 a day to 20 a week or something, and he cut down drinking a bottle of JD a day, a bottle of vodka and orange, because the orange was in it. He's just a funny bloke. Bit of a Nazi. Not a fan of democracy and a bit of a fan of, but on the whole, a cool, funny man. A proper rocker, the likes of which we'll never see again. And he was Hendrix's roadie. How you can't get much cooler than that. And I think he said, I've read somewhere, he was asked about a band, or what do you think of blah blah blah, and he was like, well, I was roadie for Hendrix and I've never seen anything like it, and nothing will ever be like it, so I don't give a shit. It's like, that's fucking fair game, because Hendrix was a one-off. There's gonna be nobody like it at all. At all. I know people said that about Mozart and all that shit, but no. He was a fucking alien, as Bill Hicks said. Yes, so but lots of cool people popped the clogs. A lot of them over winter. All pretty much tied together. What else? Oh yes, so Saudis making things annoying for the rest of the planet at the moment, and I think the British government said they were not disappointed. What was it? It was unfortunate what they did, or whatever. It's like, how man. There's a theory though. There's a guy from the Saudi regime. He's their press guy for the government. He does look cool and young and hip and whatever. He looks a lot more trendy, a lot more with it, a lot more this generation. And he's pretty much said, just like, give us time, we will change. Because with it being a monarchy, a lot of the people in the government are there who've been in there for 20 or 30 years, and they haven't advanced, they haven't changed. And there's a new wave, apparently, of politicals, governmental types in Saudi Arabia who are what you'd call progressive. So, they might change. But he's just saying, have a bit of patience. But then again, he's a PR guy, so he would say that. We'll just have to sit on that one and wait, won't we? But in the meantime, they've left a fucking mess. So they could change tomorrow and be like the most uber democratic thing in the world. But they left a fucking shitload of mess around the rest of the Middle East. So it's no excuse. But however, like I said, everything changes. Things evolve. It's all part of evolution. It's just nasty, and it's visible because of that media I was on about. Multimedia. What else? What else happened? The flooding and shit. My God. Lordy mama. Flooding and shit. It's a bit like, there's a bit of a tie-in here to the Oregon story. That was all about fire. Well, there's been an investigation into the runoffs of water. Water runs off if it doesn't have a chance to soak in. You know, that's why you've got bogs. And when you've got moors if you're down south, moors if you're from around here. You've got the North York moors and stuff, and various fells in Cumbria, and up a height in Northumberland. Apart from the actual rivers and streams, you've got lots of bogged areas, and it's basically where the water soaks into the aquifer. And without the vegetation there to trap it, and to do that, it would run off. And that's what's happening apparently. A lot of the grouse areas, huge swathes of land, a lot of the landowners are apparently burning off stretches of vast woodland and stuff, and they're burning it off so they can have grouse area with little bits of heather and gorse where the grouse can live, and that's it. So you're basically left with very short grass, not much vegetation, and the water not soaking in because the ground, as soon as you get rid of the vegetation, the ground goes harder and exposes rock. So the water's running off from these lands apparently. We've had like a lot of heavy rain, but there's that, and I blame a lot of people in urban areas as well for fucking paving everything. Why do you have to pave everything? Why do you get a house with a lovely garden, move in and go, oh yeah, grass is fine, but I'd rather have a patio, so I can sit out on the patio, sit out on the grass, you dick. What are you doing? The reason people buy patios and fucking crazy paving is so water doesn't make it soggy, and you don't get mucky, and you can. But that water goes somewhere. It doesn't sink into your rock and your concrete. It runs off. We should ban people from fucking A, having too much concrete shit, and B, like getting rid of trees and stuff out of the gardens and that. And I hate it when people move somewhere and just see him's a lovely leafy place for all of its flaws, and I moan about it all the time. It's green, and lots of areas of Seam's nice and green, but also increasingly lots of it get chopped up. And it's just people. It's this Joneses thing, keeping up with the Joneses. They're like, we've got to make sure I can get to my car 6 meters earlier. You know what I mean? What the fuck? I've just realised. You know what? Can you hear that in the background? I've got this random playlist thing going on the internet, and it's fucking turned into the Bee Gees. How do you get from Marvin Gaye to the Bee Gees? I haven't got a clue. I'm gonna rewind and like find something cool, like So, oh yeah, and the thing is, with these landowners who've been doing the chopping down to the vegetation so they can have massive grouse runoffs, I've been shooting a few times. Usually if I've been away with cadets and there's a local thing, we've gone, and I've been up Scotland and stuff doing a bit of shooting. Not grouse, I have to say. I've just done clay pigeon. But this year, it's the same areas, the same land. But what's been happening, they've been getting subsidies as well from the Tories. So they're getting subsidies, which is basically tax money, to manage the land, and managing the land consists of not managing the land properly and getting rid of shit so they can have more grouse. And apparently the grouse, what's the word, economy, market, if you whatever, is pretty much, it's become like a battery hen sort of situation. Like if you don't manage to bag a grouse, if you go shooting now, you've got no arms, you're blind, and you haven't even got a gun, basically. It's that easy because it's so prevalent, it's so huge. You know, the glorious fourth, every time they mention that, bullshit. It's really easy to kill shit. And it's nothing to do with maintaining wildlife. Because technically, when it gets to that level, grouse is no longer wildlife. It's like a farm. What's wildlife is the birds of prey that are supposed to live there and naturally take care of the grouse population, which are getting killed. They're getting killed by landowners because they're eating the grouse that they're going to shoot. So these birds of prey, killing for food, they're getting killed by people who want to kill for fun. Isn't that nice, eh? Isn't that class? When I was a kid, there were very few birds of prey left. I was in the Young Ornithologist Club, and my dad was in the RSPB. And I was dead into birds. I'm still into birds now, you know, but not at the same time. Only joking. But there was loads of, like, I remember there was loads of, like, if you saw a red kite and that, you'd be like, what? Couldn't believe it and all that stuff. And throughout the 90s and that, they were reintroduced and they're, like, thriving again. And now they're getting killed again. Isn't it funny? Just so people are going to shoot fucking grouse, which, you know, get the kicks. I am Man the Hunter. You're not Man the Hunter. If you're Man the Hunter, you know, get a fucking pea shooter and go to the fucking, no, do it with a spear. Get a spear and go and try and hunt something in the fucking Africa. You wouldn't last very long, Mara. Man the Hunter, me cock, you get driven there in a Land Rover. Anyway, yes, so the flooding, fucking horrendous. I can't imagine. They see him where I live, in like the majority of the northeast, to be honest. Not all of it, but the majority of it has lots of runoff. We're built on limestone and we're built on undulating areas, not much flat land, and it's very rare, like large areas of the northeast flood badly. Some like Pont Eland and stuff, and Morpeth and that does up a bit further north, and little bits of certain towns do, but like not there. If you look at Cumbria and like Hebden Bridge and that, Jesus wept. And also the flood barriers, you know, the ones that Tory MP said are working, but the water came over the top. The flood defences are working excellent, it's just that the water came over them. That noise is the fucking air whistling through his head. The water defences are working brilliantly, just that the water came over them. But what you're doing, water defences basically channel water faster downstream or upstream. So all they do, they're just diverting water from where you are to some other poor unfortunate bugger down the road. And now I used to go to, like, why do you live so near a river? Rivers, I can't remember as a kid that many incidents where rivers burst the banks and flooded entire towns. You know, maybe a garden. You know, the biggest one was the biggest one that I can remember, where it affected the whole town, was probably what's that place called down south? It was near Bodmin. It might have actually been Bodmin itself. There's a place near Bodmin where it basically rushed through the valley and took out half the fucking... You remember that? It's only 10, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Wasn't that long ago. And they were saying, oh, it's a once in a lifetime thing. And it's happened every year since, somewhere else. Because we're building shit. And there is the global warming theory, and I go with that to some extent. But the Earth, it has ways of balancing things. What we've got to do, we know what's happening. We've got to adapt to it better. You can't stop global warming, because it's not just us that are affecting it. It's it's the sun basically. It's a mixture of things. So yes, so we've had a lovely wobbly beginning. To the whole thing. Simon Danchuk. Boop, 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 boop. Never too much. How perfect is that timing? I think this is the theme tune to Simon Danchuk MP's sex life. Never too much, never too much. Boop, boop, doo, doo, boo. He's an MP he's a Labour MP if you don't know, who is, I'm torn. He's as right wing as Thatcher, but he's in Labour. I don't understand it. Hates Jeremy Corbyn, hates socialism, and yet he's in Labour. I don't understand it. But he's done an amazing amount of work on the VIP sexual abuse, child abuse scandals. Done amazing work on it. In fact, he was the one at Parliament who, in Parliament, used parliamentary privilege to insist an investigation was taking place in the building, because apparently there are allegations of sex acts in the building itself, which made that building, the Houses of Parliament, technically a crime scene, because he used parliamentary privilege and the Parliament agreed to it. That's the thing. There's progress there, you know what I mean? However, a week later, you remember this last year, July, June? A week later, they went, oh, Westminster's is up in the bits, we need billions of pounds to completely gut it and renovate it. It's nice timing, isn't it? It was about a week later. Look it up, look on some sort of bloody news website or something. It was about a week later, maybe 2 weeks later. Crime scene, we need to renovate quick. And also, Buckingham Palace did, didn't they? Same day. What a coincidence, on the same day that Parliament said, we need to completely gut and renovate and revamp the whole of the Houses of Parliament because it's dropping to bits and it's falling over. On the very same day, it's going to cost around 7 billion, maybe even more. Can't remember the exact number. But on the very same day, for around about the same price, Buckingham Palace said, we need to do the same now. Might have been a coincidence. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But you know, crime scenes and DNA and shit. I'm just speculating. I'm being a scamp. That's what I'm being. Being a scamp. I'm putting 2 and 2 together and coming with 22. Anyway, yeah. Also, anyhow, so yeah, Simon Danchuk, the guy who did this, there's also a brilliant interview of him on, I think it's a local radio thing, maybe Radio Norwich, you know, Alan Partridge. It's a BBC one, because they're talking nice and posh, and then they're doing that. Yeah, man, well, this is Simon Danchuk. It's a proper debate, to talk, an interview. and he was might have been a national station. I'm not sure. Clip is on YouTube somewhere. Just type in Simon Danczuk breaks down. Because he did. I think he's already done the book on Cyril Smith. Oh yeah, that's the thing. He's MP for Rochdale. You know, where Cyril Smith was, and he found out, and pretty much without Simon Danczuk, we wouldn't really. That might have been still kept under the carpet. He wrote a book about it to get it out, and it's out. You know, and it's out, and it's fact. So he's not a bad man, he's just completely wrong. I do think he's a bit of an egomaniac. But he's came out, apparently he'd been some 17-year-old or something. Now this is how it came out at first. This 17-year-old or something. Oh, hold on. Just have to listen to the beginning of this. Oh yes. This is some lungs. Here we go. Them's chops. I fucking love that. Jesus wept. Yes. Somebody else's guy, another one related to this. Yes, I'll tell you a story about Jocelyn Brown in a sec. So Simon and this 17-year-old bint, and she is a bint. I'm not being sexist. She's a bint, and that'll come out in a sec. It was reported in the Sun, which actually Simon Danczuk wrote for as well. Did columns in, so you know, a bit fishy. The Sun exposing one of its own, but I'll persist. 17-year-old kid, girl, technically legal, I know. But the thing is, they haven't had sex anyway. She started sexting him or something. I know she instigated it. That's what we do know. Something like, yeah, really fancy you, or whatever, and he's like, but you know, he's about 50-odd year old. And he just replied and stuff. But they started becoming more and more smutty, these texts. And filthy, and there was what you call sexts. It's hard to say. It's one of these things kids do now. I don't even know what it fucking means. Yeah, you groovy kids are your strange ways. I'm guessing, is it knob pics? You might know out there. I hope not, actually. Or it might be just literally just talking dirty with text. I don't know. Anyway. Oh yeah, it was messages. I'll stick my so and so up your flu if you do me do boot and all that sort of stuff. But it's a 70-year-old lass. And it's like, oh, fucking hell. It's just sordid. It's sordid, it's pathetic. That's what it is. And I was like, fucking what a dick. And I was like, in me head, I was like, sort of happy because I've had massive argy-bargies with Simon Danczuk on Twitter. He's on Twitter all the time. He spends 98% of his time being more viciously against Corbyn than the Tories, to be honest. He's worse. And he's in the ranks. It's like, what the fuck are you trying to hide or whatever? What the hell? and he's been vehement and like fucking scathing, and every salacious piece of shit from right-wing press he's like retweeted and said, made a point of it. It's like, and so what's happened is, as he's been doing that for yonks, he's developed like an anti-fandom. He's got loads of fucking people who want him to be barred from the Labour Club, Labour membership and all that stuff, and they want him to be deselected and all that stuff. And it's now gotten to a stage because of this, what's happened, that he's in the shit. And apparently today there have been protests outside of his constituent office. He's climbed down, he's resigned, he's been suspended by the Labour Party, which means he's still an MP, but he no longer has a Labour whip. And it's a temporary suspension. Because Corbyn's, he might rise above it and say, right, you're a dick, you've been a dick, and you're going to stay in Labour if you want, blah, blah, blah. But I think what will come with that is but seeing as I've done this for you, and it might teach him a lesson, basically. But what he's came out with today, and there might be legs in it, is that he's an alcoholic. Pardon me, just burped. He reckons alcoholism has played a part. He's been drinking heavily, as a result of his wife leaving. Turns out though, it's his second wife, and she was kind of young. He said, "I like younger women." Like, thank the Lord he stressed the word women, considering, what he does. He's like hunt down paedophiles, basically. Ridiculous. And this lass, and she's a bit of a media whore, actually. She's more of a megalomaniac than him. She's like everywhere, caught attention, and to be honest, on social media, she gets as much of a slating as he does. To be honest, his ex, but his first ex, who went nuts when he went behind her back and slept with this one. With ex number 2, his first ex has defended him and said he is weak, he is a dick, he's an alcoholic, but he's generally a good man, and he'll bounce back. Don't chuck him out of the Labour thing. So it's weird. It's a weird little. Obviously, this shows you how much on the outside, and just by going by the media, how little we actually know. Because you'd think she, the first wife, would be going, ha, that'll teach you, you randy fucking goat. But she's not. She's sticking by her no longer by 2 people, well, actually 3. But this is where it gets even more sordid. This is an MP. This is an MP. This 17-year-old lass who's been doing this, they've been sharing sexts. It's really hard to say. Dirty texts. I'm gonna say that. Sexts. I'm gonna try and spread that around as well. Get rid of the word sext and replace it with dirty texts. It's easy to say. She is apparently an online dominatrix at 17? 17-year-old? What the living fuck is going on there? Apparently she's got a website, and it was on James O'Brien on LBC. These discussed it this morning. You can buy. She sells toenails for £10 online. She when she cuts her toenails off. She sells them to. How? Forgive me for being completely out of touch with society in modern parlance. Who the fuck? How do you? What? How? Who? What? How does anybody get turned on by someone's toenails? I'm not saying he's bought them, by the way, but she does this anyway. I'll start to make that clear. But she's 17-year-old, which begs me, in my mind, is saying, like, she can't have just become legal and been. She's got a fucking weird past, if you ask me. How do you get to just that age? God, when I was 17, I still couldn't even go and like say hello to a lass. I'd be like, "You alright? Alright, alright." You know, you like. She's a dumb. I don't fucking understand people. And if someone is that young, and is an online POV basically, and getting paid for it, I think you've got to look into her past really and see what the fuck is going on with her parents. If indeed she had any, to be honest, you don't know. But our upbringing, it's all sick and despicable, innit, man? It just makes it worse with them being into that thing. But why I'm a little bit sceptical is all the Corbyn fans who have been fucking vehemently against Danchuk, as have I, but only on the issue of Corbyn. They're jumping on this, and like literally 2-3 weeks ago, well actually since Corbyn became leader of Labour, but 2 or 3 weeks ago especially, when all that stuff came out about Syria, they were all going, "The Sun's a fucking rag, don't believe anything it says. It's a fucking, I can't believe people still read that shit, it's totally bullshit. It always lies, it never tells the truth, it's just sensationalism." They're all fucking flat on believing it now, aren't they? It's weird as fuck, I don't get it. Are you that fickle? Do you not have any sense of fucking clue of what's going on? The Sun is shit, full stop. But all of a sudden, because it's against Danchuk, who's been against Corbyn, vehemently mind, and was in the Sun, this is why it gets even fishier, they're all of a sudden like, "Oh, see, haha, look what you've been doing. This is, you can't believe you've done that, mate. Oh." So I'm not saying it's not true, because he has apologised. He has given an explanation of sorts. But I've got a big feeling that A, most of the details aren't true, because you will not know. Don't think the details are true. The actual events are, but all the sordid little bits are probably aren't. They're all just salacious bullshit. On both sides, to be honest. But I think he's been stitched up. And why do I think he's been stitched up? Because Murdoch is protecting the establishment. Because since day one, his press have been pretty much debunking, well, not debunking, sort of, instead of debunking the actual allegations of sex abuse, they've been debunking the people carrying them out. Like Tom Watson in September, when the Omnibus programme came out, and Lord Britain, who had been cleared of sex offences against an adult. It was an adult, that, if you remember. He'd been cleared of raping an adult. The actual child sex offence is still ongoing. The allegations are still there. They're still being investigated. But that gets swept under the carpet, doesn't it? That's what's happened. They're trying to sweep everything under the carpet. Everything under the carpet. And I've got an awful feeling that's what's happening with Danchuk. And the fact that he's reciprocated tells me one of two things. Either he's in on it, and he was a shill all along, which I doubt, because he broke down proper in that interview. It wasn't just, that was not acting. A bloke, when a bloke's really fucking crying and not putting it on. You know what I mean? It was proper. You could hear his shoulders shrugging and like a baby. It was that sort of crying. He proper broke down. Anyhow, so there's the theory that he's either a shill for that, or he's thought, fuck this, it's affecting my life too much. I've done my bit. I'm going to drop it for now and drop back. He did step back not long ago anyway from the whole VIP abuse thing. But I might have mentioned it on my podcast a few months ago when that omnibus program was on. Dan Shuck made a fuss, rightly so. He'd been interviewed for 2 or 3 hours for this omnibus program. I keep saying omnibus. Panorama, that's the fella. This Panorama program, he'd been interviewed lots about it. And literally 2 minutes before it went on air, he sent a tweet saying, 5 minutes ago, they had a call from the BBC saying my bits aren't in it. He said he was disgusted. So his whole interview, and he has evidence of the allegations. His whole interview was cut out from this Panorama programme, as was David Mann MP. His whole interview was taken out of that programme. His interview was even longer, and he's the one with the Dickens dossier. If you don't know about these allegations, there's a guy, Geoffrey Dickens. He was a Tory MP. Bit of a nut job, apparently. He was a bit like Dan Shuck, to be honest, but the Tories didn't even like him. But this is probably why, though. There was a dossier, I'm forgetting who, why, what, when, where, but it named lots, around 70-odd MPs or something like that, who, some of whom are still MPs, apparently, but who back then were either involved in, or knew about and covered up, or complicit in the VIP Westminster ring thing. Sex abuse ring. Child sex abuse ring. And it went missing. And it went missing in the hands of... Come on. You were just mentioned. Yes, Leon Britton. See? They were apparently in his possession, and he just... we can't find them. I've lost them. How bloody convenient. And then Geoffrey Dickens died. Heart attack or something. But apparently they've ended up in David Mann MP's possession. And he's got them. And in this interview, which was cut out of the documentary by Panorama, he went through a great deal of detail. So he was pissed off that same night. And then you had the next day, that's when the Tom Watson stuff came out. Tom Watson's a bastard, he should apologise immediately for the evil things he said about Leon Britton. And he didn't say evil things, he mentioned allegations. He was a bit heavy-handed regarding the rape allegations. But the child sex abuse ones were and still are being investigated. It's weird, isn't it? How has this country got to this state? This Great Britain. Jesus Christ. How have we let it get this? What the fuck? And I know times were different back then. Like rock stars, half the blues and rock and roll, and that was pretty much about shagging like young kids, basically. Sweet Little 16 and all that malarkey, and Jesus Christ. A lot of fucking weird. I can't get my head around any of this shit. It's kind of disturbing, but I've been digging into this stuff for a while because of certain things, regarding people I'm aware of that certain things have happened to, and it got us thinking, how the fuck can people get away with this shit? So when it comes up, and actually it was basically when Savile came up, I was like, how do you get away with all that? And nobody noticed. So it's been, you know what I'm like, I'm a digger, I dig in for fucking little rabbit holes, and so I've been investigating a lot of that shit, and there's a lot of stuff you don't know about unless you dig, and you should know about because it's not good. So I've got a feeling though this year somehow there's going to be some form, possible resolution regarding the Simon Danczuk thing, and the investigation is still on regarding the VIP sex abuse scandals. It's headed by that New Zealand woman who nobody trusts, but she's better than the one I had originally trusted, so you know it's better than that. But and it's easy to go, oh my, why do people care? It fucking happened ages ago, and all these people are making it up. If they were being abused, why didn't they say it back then? You've got to realise, if you pretty much where you are now, where you are sat now, or in your life, you will know someone, more than likely, who has either been abused, whether it's as a young person or as an adult. You will either know them, you might even know the abuser or someone who has abused, or at least you'll know someone who knows someone who does. It's around, man. And there was a stat on what newspaper website, something around one. It was like, oh, only 1 in 100 people have paedophilic thoughts. That's not a massive ratio. You hear what I'm saying? That's a lot of people. God, I've been to gigs. We've had gigs where there's been more than 100 people in there. And I'm not saying any of them are pedos, but that's the thing. It's like, it's weird. It's a fucking weird world we live in, dudes. And dudettes. Positive things this year. It's kind of hard to look for positive things, only because positive things evolve out of bad things, I find, you know. I think it was it not Confucius? Well, his proper name, and I've forgotten what it was. There was a story about, there was a massive, he had a carp pond, Confucius. And there was a massive storm overnight, and his maids were dead fearful about the carp. And they woke up the next day, and the pond had overflowed. And the carp, they thought, oh, they've died. What should we do, oh Confucius? And he said they've moved on to a bigger lake, so they'll be happier. So they've moved into the outflow. You know, he said it in his own enigmatic Confucius type way. But that was the story, and it's like, that's the thing. Found this when my dad died. It's when I became an adult that. I was technically an adult, like in numbers, but I didn't really understand shit, and then life hadn't really grabbed us by the knackers. But when me pops died, it was horrendous, obviously. Obviously horrendous, but it made us stronger. It made us a lot stronger. Not then, but it's like until you know you can survive something horrendous, you'll not know, if you know what I mean. You think to yourself, oh, how the fuck would I cope if this happened to us or that happened to us? And when it happens, and you think, hang on, I'm coping here. And then you cope afterwards, you think, so that's the whole thing. There's always a bigger fish, as I said in episode 1. Cause I can remember when my dad died, and like during the funeral and stuff, all of his like family, like the family and all of his friends were saying, "You're being so strong." It's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know where I am. I'm not being strong. It's like, you can't. What you're going to do? Fall on the floor and collapse and into a heap of jelly? You've got to get on and do things. It sounds harsh, and I didn't really. This is the thing. I was an autopilot until the funeral itself, and then that's when I grieved. But it takes some people. Some people can go a year without grieving, then something will hit them, and then they'll go bang and hit a wall. So it's like, it's weird, man. But like that's the thing. You tend to knockbacks. If you stay knocked back, now it'll happen. But you've got to use them to be a bit stronger. And I think actually, had my dad not died, I wouldn't have got into philosophy as much as I did, and psychology. I'm into all that shit, and I wouldn't have been. I've always sort of looked for answers, but I wouldn't have been so. Like, partly it's probably self-help. You know what I mean? Weird, isn't it? Anyhow. So yes, I'm weekly wibble. I'm wibbling on. That's the point. Damn it! Listen to me. I'm talking shit. This week, what's happening in the news? That's good. What have we got to look for? Well, it's the European Championships this year, isn't it? Is it not? I think it is. Football. I've not watched footy for ages. I'm just sick of it. I hate the Premiership. I hate the money aspect. It's no lot. You're not going to football. They don't care about you as a fan. Sorry. You're going there to let off some steam, but they don't care about you. You're literally a unit. You're a money-making unit. Sorry, you're just not. But you know, if you love it, you know, you've always loved it. I think a lot of it, with people, it's much like anything. It's like I was on about before about change and stuff. You've always done it, and there's a nostalgia thing and a unity thing. But yeah, I don't. But I'm just. To me, it's a bit like a religion, and I'm not at all religious. Not at all religious. It's a similar thing. This selection of music has gone rogue. There's some right dick on the fucking thing now. It's not my music. It's like a random mix online. Pardon me. So, what else? Just trying to think. Nah, that's it. Think that's it. I'm thinking of doing videos. There's a big YouTube community out there that's been going for fucking years, and I just haven't even been aware of it really until recently. And it's kind of some people searching for truth out there. So I might do videos instead of these audio things. You never know. Then again, I might crack the camera with my fucking animal magnetism. And I might. I'm better physically and like with my health more now than I am bad. So I might start and try and do this sort of professionally and hog myself off benefits. There are actually there's people making a shitload of money sitting on their arse in front of a camera on YouTube. I need to get in on that somehow. I don't know how. I'll work it out. Starting to write music again, which I haven't done for ages. I'm thinking of writing comedy. I've got some comedy ideas batting around. And I'm thinking of setting up a little thing called a Patreon account. Which means is I can upgrade from the Spreaker thing I'm on now. If you come on my Spreaker thing, if you listen to this on YouTube, you don't know. But on Spreaker, I'm using it for free. It's like a free thing but you get limited services. So I don't know. I know how many people listen and download. I don't know who they are, where they're from, and there's no demographic any stats like that. Also, if you upgrade financially, I forget how much it is, you get better advertising and all that malarkey, and you develop a proper little website-y type thing, and you get more hours. That's the thing. At the moment, I've got 7 hours. When I reach 7, I've got to ditch hours to upload anything else. Although the stuff on YouTube stays there, that's fair enough. But on YouTube, it's broken down into like little segments. I like the whole rambly thing. Anyway, I'm rambling on now. I'm going to end with Chaka. Because it's a positive song, and she's class, and she was gorgeous when she was younger and stuff. Well, she's still gorgeous now, damn for her age. She can still sing. But this is a choice tune from a choice woman. And see you next week. Possibly sooner. Goodbye.